Hi guys, welcome back to the JUnit session. So in the last session we discussed about the test annotation and we have written a simple test to check the addition method is giving the output correctly or not. So if you observe in the test method we actually hard coded the inputs to the addition method add method. So we are given 2 comma 2, we pass the values 2 comma 2, and if you want to check the addition method is working, for example for the different arguments like -1 -2 and we expect the result as -3. So every time we need to write different test methods or different code to check this particular input is being satisfied by the addition method or not. So to simplify that, my JUnit got another feature, parameterized test annotation. Using the parameterized test annotation, you can pass different arguments to the test method and we can check the test is satisfying all the different arguments, and the test will be executed, the same test will be executed multiple times for the different arguments, and that will reduce the code that needs to be written. So let's go through the parameterized test annotation. So already I have given examples for the parameterized test below. So I will go through these examples so that will save your time. So to write the parameterized test, first we need to import a particular artifact into our project. So that is already done. So the JUnit Jupyter params is the artifact that we need to use in our test project. So we can use the at the rate parameterized test annotation. So as we discussed, in case of by using the parameterized test, we can pass different arguments to the test method. If you see, this particular test is blank. This test is blank actually is checking the argument passed to a test method is empty or not. If it is not empty, then this test will fail. So I've already written a method is blank method in the string utils class that will check the input passed to this method string is empty or not. That is, if string is equal to null and string is empty, then it will return true. If it is not empty, it will return false. So I want to test this is blank method with different arguments, like one is with null input and one is with empty argument with some space. So in both cases our method is blank method should return true. So in earlier cases, like if you use the at the rate test annotation, we need to like pass hard coded values to the test method. So but by using the parameterized test, we can pass these arguments to the test method itself. So to source these inputs to the test method, we need to use an annotation at the rate value source. So we have multiple annotations to source the inputs to the test method. One of them is at the rate value source, and we'll discuss about other annotation also in the later session. So let's discuss about the at the rate value source. So in this case, we are using at the rate value and we are passing two input arguments to the method. So the test is blank is taking the input arguments to input arguments, and it is checking these input arguments are satisfying the is blank method. Let me run this test. So I'm expecting this test is blank to be executed two times with two input arguments. So the test is blank is executed two times. You can see the first time and the second time. And if you want to see what is the input has been taken each test, you can also uh, see that by just mentioning by just mentioning arguments here, like if you see name equal to, let me just pass this at the rate 0. So this will show you what is the input argument is been taken when the test was done. So sorry for that. Display name must not be null or blank. So I did something wrong here. So I need to mention hash index. Let me see if this works. Good, it worked. So in both cases we are passing the empty string, so we are not able to see the value here. Let me pass another value here, test. So but I expect this third argument will fail this test because this is not an empty, this got a value in it. Yeah, see, you can see the value passed for the third test, and this third test is failed because it's not an empty. So this is how we can use the at the rate value source. And in case of at the rate value source, we can use only um, some only few inputs as an argument. Let me show you like what values can be passed as an input. So short, byte, int, long, float, double, char, string, class. These only can be passed as input, and we can pass one argument to the test method each time. So so in case of addition method, we need to pass actually two two inputs, but using the at the rate value source, we can only pass one argument at a time. So if you want to pass two arguments to the test method, then we need to use a different type of annotation to source that input. So in that case, we can use at the rate method source. Using that, we can pass two input arguments to the test method. Let me show you how that can be done. So that example is already run here, you can see here. So this is the method source. In the method source, you need to mention the method name, and that method actually we can implement to pass the different arguments that can be passed to the test method. So the calc arguments provider is the method which will source the inputs in this scenario. So the calc argument provider is the static method, and it is returning the stream of arguments. In this argument, stream of arguments, we have two tests here actually. Test 1, we are passing the input argument 4, 5. In case of test 2, we are passing -1, -2 as input arguments to this test. Let's see how these inputs arguments are used in the test method. So as this calc arguments provider is returning two input arguments. First one is the string, the second one is the array list. That's the reason we have declared here two input arguments. One is the string and another one is the input in the list of strings. So the string actually represents this first argument and the data represents the second argument. So here I'm checking if the string dot first string, this particular string equals test1, then in case of test1 I'm expecting the output as 9. So I'm checking the output of this input argument is the 9 or not. In the second test I am checking whether the input for this -1 -2 output is the -3 or not. So that's how we can run multiple tests on different arguments using a single test method. So let me run this test. So yeah, so the test calc method source executed two times, one with 4 5 input argument, second test with -1 -2 argument, and in both the cases the expected result is matched with my test. So that's all about the parameterized test. And parameterized test got other source annotations also, like empty source, null source. So if you want to pass a if you want to pass an input as an empty source, then we can use the empty source. And if you want to pass the input as a null, then you can use the @null source. So in this case, we cannot pass multiple arguments, but this will always be passing either null or the empty. Okay, cool guys. Thank you. Next, we'll discuss about another annotation of JUnit 5 in the next session. Till then, bye. Please subscribe the channel, and if you like this video, please like the video. Thank you.